Вот Емель. Я привезла тебе сестру.
Оксана, это Емель.
Красивое имя.
Оксана
Там, откуда приехала Оксана, не говорят по-башкирски.
Кушай.
Смотри,
Меня
я Емель, а ты Оксана. Что же мне с тобой делать, сестренка? Ведь наш папа Оксану на войне нашел. Громкие звуки и выстрелы напоминают. Мам, а наш папа много подвигов совершил? Много, сынок, много. А почему папа письма не пишет? Я больше никогда не оставлю Оксану одну.
Эй, фашист, сдавайся, хендахом.
Ох, я это сделал. Я бы не впізнав.
The action takes place during World War II. At the beginning we see soldiers walking past a destroyed village. The attention of one of the soldiers is attracted by a dog that is persistently barking. The man decides to go inside and check it out. Inside lay dead people, but in the stove the soldier found a little girl who was hiding. He took the child in his arms and left a charcoal inscription on the stove. The action then shifts to a remote Bashkir village. A woman is chopping firewood. Her young son Yumil is nearby. Suddenly he starts to fooling around and falls into the cold water. A mother takes her son home in a sleigh. The boy asks about his father, who went to the front. They wait for letters from him, like some kind of miracle. In the morning, the woman woke up her son and told him that his grandmother had arrived. Yumil immediately perked up and began to wash his face. A meager breakfast consisted of flatbread. The grandmother was going to stay with them for a while and look after Yumil while his mother went into town on some important business. The boy said he wasn't going to cry, promising that he would look after both the house and his grandmother himself. After gathering her things, the woman left the house. On the street the boy hugged her, and the mother asked her to be careful. The grandmother asked her grandson to take the lambs into the house so they wouldn't freeze in the barn at night. Soon Yumil was called for a walk by his friend Murat. The boys found their stash in the hay where they kept sugar. The letter carrier came and brought a letter. Neither the boy nor his grandmother can read, so they went to see the grandmother's more literate brother. But it turned out that he could not read Russian either. Mansuragi's blind wife said she knew Russian. It is necessary that Yumil guide her finger through the letters, and in this way she will be able to read the letter. However, no one knew what the Russian word Priyadu meant. Yumil decided to take the letter to school, for surely someone there could read. However, on the way he was stopped by the older boys, who began to mock him and hung him by his jacket on the fence. Meanwhile, the letter carrier brought a letter to one of the women, who after reading it, burst into tears. The boy was spotted by a man on a sled. He took the child off the fence. Since the man can read Russian, he helped. It turned out that the letter was written by Yumil's mother, who is due to arrive tomorrow. At night Yumil could not sleep and asked his grandmother to tell him a story about the brave hero Badiai, who defeated the dragon. The boy fell asleep quickly, and in the morning he couldn't find felt boots anywhere to meet his mother. Running out almost barefoot, Yumil hugged his mother, who brought a strange girl into the house. The mother told her son that she brought him a sister. Her name is Oksana. She speaks Russian, the woman who also knows a little of that language. The girl was very shy and scared. Oksana was fed. Yumil tried in every way to take care of her and gave her his portion of porridge, because the girl was very hungry. Mansuragi and her wife came to meet the new person in the village. At the same time they brought a wooden bed. It needed mending, and the local men came to help. Yumil helped too. The same man who had earlier helped Yumil translate the letter came in. He reported that the Khalkhoz administration had given the family an extra ration. All the villagers were happy about the girl. In the evening Yumil called his friend and told him that his mother had brought him a little sister. The next day the boy woke the girl up, thereby scaring her. He tried to teach her some words in Bashkir, but Oksana was still silent. Murat came to visit them and invited Yumil and Oksana to go for a walk outside with him, but the girl was still afraid to leave the house. Later, Yumil gave her his toys, but the girl did not react to anything. When she heard a strange sound, she quickly hid under the bed, thinking that the Germans had come. The woman came in and tried to calm the girl down, explaining to her son that the loud noises reminded her of gunshots, because Karim, Yumel's father, found Oksana in the war. The woman hugged the crying girl. The boy asked why his father had not written them letters since the beginning of winter. The mother only replied that at the front it is not always possible to write letters. Spring has come. Murat stole real bullets from his father's backpack. The boys hid them in a hiding place. In the hayloft they found Oksana eating their sugar. The girl hurriedly ran away. The local boys ran to see the train with the captured Germans. Yumel wanted Oksana to go with them, but the girl refused to leave the fence. Before leaving, the boy locked the door from outside. The boys observed the Germans who were on the railroad tracks. It turned out that the enemies were ordinary people, no different from anyone else. The boys started throwing rocks at them. Meanwhile, the girl was trying to get out of the house. Smoke billowed from the stove, so it was getting harder to breathe. Soviet soldiers chased the boys away. Oksana had to break a window to avoid suffocation. Hearing a suspicious sound, Mansour ran to check. Murat thinks they did the right thing. His father died in the war, and maybe one of those captured Nazis did it. At this time, Mansour pulled Oksana out of the smoky house. The woman came running in, who was very afraid for the children. And then Yumel came running, whose fault it was, because he had closed the damper before the wood burned out. Feeling guilty, the boy hid in the hayloft. Oksana came to him and brought him some bread. Suddenly the mother said that there was a letter from Daddy. She read it aloud in the house. Yumel decided to keep the letter. He was sorry that he had left Oksana alone today. In the afternoon, Yumel tried to teach Oksana some Bashkir words.
Девочка ты, мальчик я.
The attention of all the children was attracted by soldiers in her car. It turned out that a fascist had escaped from the train. Yumel said he knew where to look for him, in the forest in a cave. The children went into the woods. Murat really wanted to catch the German, but soon a policeman with a dog found the children. It turned out that soldiers had caught the German in the morning, and in the woods they were looking for children who had been lost by their parents. Everyone was very worried. Yumel's mother invited the policeman to drink tea with them. Since the policeman speaks the same language as her, Oksana cried and said that her whole family had died. The policeman hugged the girl. In the morning, Oksana woke up her brother with sunny bunnies. The girl had already begun to pronounce many words in Bashkir. The children had a lot of fun together. One day Yumel showed his little sister his treasure. If she will be sworn to secrecy, it would belong to her too. The boy admitted that he and Murat want to go to the front to help win the war. But Oksana said they shouldn't go there because everyone is dying there. However, the boys, taking some food with them, escaped anyway. Sneaking onto the train, they hid. On the way, they sang songs and had fun, thinking they would be able to fight at the front just like the other soldiers. At night a soldier spotted them and demanded an explanation. It turned out that the train was not headed to the front, but to Siberia. Not knowing what to do with the boys, the officer tried to find out their address. Since the boys refused to give it, the officer ordered that they be taken somewhere else until he could figure out what to do with them. Yumel convinced that if they decided to go to the front, they should see it through. He opened the window, but there was a lattice behind it. Trying to get through, the boy got stuck. Murat tried to help him, but in vain. Morning came. Yumel was crying, unable to get out. He asked Murat to call for help, but suddenly Oksana and his mother to see him. It turned out that the girl had told her mother about the boys' escape plan because she didn't want them to see the war. Oksana cried when she remembered her own mother who died. At home in the orchard, the mother and her children were planting apple trees. Suddenly there was a commotion in the village. Everyone shouted that the war was over and hugged each other with happiness. Now none of their loved ones would die, and all would be well. In the afternoon, a feast was held in the village to mark the occasion. All the people were happy and cried with joy. Yumel waited impatiently for his father to return. The adults sent the children to fetch benches from the school. There they saw a crying boy, Rusham. He was upset, for the fact that the war was over would not bring their fathers back. Yumel objected, because his father is alive. But Rusham said he was not. Recently, he overheard women talking. It turns out that Yumel's father died while rescuing Oksana. Yumel ran to his mother and asked her to tell the truth. The boy did not want to believe what had happened, because the father had written them letters. In tears, Yumel ran into the woods and fell into the grass. The mother caught up with him and asked for forgiveness. She could not find the courage to admit to her son that his father never come back. So she wrote letters on his behalf. Yamil wants Oksana to go back to the orphanage. She is no longer his sister. Since then, Yamil sits on the roof all day long and doesn't talk to anyone, only comes down at night. When it started to rain, the boy came into the house after all. The grandmother told the children a story about the war. One day our mother gave our brother and sister, who lived in Leningrad, beautiful shoes, which they dreamed of wearing when they went to school in the fall. But the war began, and the enemies began to bomb the city. The family had to go far, far away. But then the Red Army drove the enemy away. The family returned to Leningrad, but their house was bombed by fascists. And only the red shoes survived under the rubble. With these words, grandmother gave her grandchildren a pair of red shoes each. The children made up and walked together. On the river, the boys were building a raft, and Oksana was helping them. Suddenly older boys came out to them. The bully threw Oksana's shoe right onto the raft. Yamil ran to catch up with it. Despite the fact that the boy cannot swim, he dared to go into the water and reach the raft by a fallen tree. The boy nevertheless took out a shoe, but the hooligans at the same time took away Oksana's other shoe. Yamil tried to stand up for his sister, but the bullies only mocked him. Then Oksana attacked the main bully and bit his ear. And then a dog barked at the boys, which Oksana immediately recognized. Then she saw her father, who had previously gone to the front. Unbelieving his eyes, the man embraced his daughter. He no longer hoped to see her alive. In the evening, Petro told villagers that when he returned home, everything had been trashed and his family was dead. But on the stove was written in charcoal that his daughter was alive. This message was left by Karim when he found and rescued Oksana. The man thanked the kind family for taking Oksana in as their own daughter. In the evening, Oksana told Yamil that she wanted her father to be his father too. The boy gave her his treasure so she would never forget him. Oksana in turn left him her doll. Brother and sister embraced, hoping that someday they will meet. In the morning, Yamil showed Petro and Oksana their village. When the children were asleep, the woman packed the girls' things for the journey. During this time, she became genuinely attached to her adopted daughter. It's time for them to go home. All the villagers came out to say goodbye to Oksana. After thanking people for everything, Petro left with his daughter. Yamil and his mother decided to escort them to the train. On the way, the very same hooligan asked to stop the car and gave Oksana honey, apologizing for everything. Suddenly, in a passing car, the woman saw her husband Karim, who had survived after all. He hugged his wife and son. Oksana hugged her new mother goodbye too, saying that she loved her. Now everything